Hello and welcome to the last ever Geoscope under a Tory government. Yay!
It's my Kermit the Frog impression.
I thought that was very good. I was going to. Are you channeling Kermit there? Ollie, how chuffed are you? How excited are you? Are you pretty excited?
Oh God, generally, honestly, very excited. I've been saying this, I think, for the past couple of weeks now. It's a Tory loss. It's just how deep the Tory loss is going to be.
How deep is your loss?
Yeah.
As take that once sang? No. Who sang "How Deep Is Your Love"? Was that Westlife?
Was it that, or is it a cover? Or did they cover it?
I think they may have covered it. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Like the Tories are toast by the looks of things. So we're going to be in London. Are you coming down to London? Are you coming down for the big party, Ollie?
I'm not going to be able to make it.
Why not? Come on, mate. They must let you out of Yorkshire, like, just for one night.
Unfortunately not, no. I'm
busy,
code. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Got better things to do.
Like I say, I've got other places to be on the Friday.
Hang out with all your celeb mates. Well, I've got something to show off. Look what I've got. Look what I've got, Ollie. Ollie, it's a brand new Politics Social mug.
Can people purchase that mug?
Yes, they can. Yes,
can they go down into the links below?
Go into the links below, maybe. And also, I've just made the Tory Tears mug, which I realised I should have made a month ago. But if you want to order one of them, head to the shop. Anyway, put a date out. Point of order. Where's the bowler hat, man?
It's always just out of reach.
It's always just out of reach. Like the future.
No, speaking of merch, I'm like still waiting for that Wayne Improve Your Internet shirt.
Yeah, we should definitely get one of them. Wayne's going to be there on Thursday, I think. We're going to have Marina Perkis and Gemma Forte is going to be there, and Subtansky. Mike Galsworthy, the leader of European Movement, is going to be there. Femi's going to be there. I've just heard Steve Bray is going to be there. So if you want to, he'll be turning up with his megaphone, which would be just be brilliant. And there's some people who might be coming from television, from like a television station where they're doing like commentary or something or punditry, and then they're coming to our party afterwards. So it's all really cool. If you want to come, now this is serious. If you want to come, I've got a few tickets left over that have been bought by the beautiful people in the chat here. If you want to come for now, just get in touch with me. Go to grahamdavidhughes.com and send me a message, and I can get you in. I can get you in gratis, and I've got money towards your bus fare getting there and home, and also a drink or two when you arrive. So if that sounds good to you, let's do it. Let's do it. Also, there's a link to the actual party if you just want to buy a ticket for yourself. It's stopthetories.com/party. Oh, it's just spelled party. It's not spelled partay. It's just party. Anyway, right, let's jump into the first news story of the night. Ollie, tell us all about Armenia jump ship from Russian-led CSTO-Alliance.
Yeah, this is the CSTO is essentially the Russian version of NATO. But this was what Armenia was part of. When we were talking, when our very first show was about this. When Karabakh was invaded by Azerbaijan, they were fully expecting that the Russians would protect them. Like I say, there were Russian peacekeepers there. They weren't to be there to making sure that Azerbaijan, didn't annex the area, didn't take it over. Azerbaijan has now. They have put still, I think, not too long now until the year is up, where they are basically going to force everyone to, capitulate, essentially, is the best way to describe it. Bit of, ethnic cleansing going on there. Some probably quite worrying things might happen in the next couple of weeks, unfortunately. Hopefully not. But I'm not, shall we say, too optimistic about that on that front, but I am hopeful that it might not have happened, that those people, like I say, the fact that they've had a year to get out will have moved. Of course, you've had to pick up your entire life and move out of somewhere you might have lived your entire life. So that is going to be very difficult for a lot of people to do.
And there's in Nagorno-Karabakh, there is Armenian religious sites that date back hundreds, even sometimes over 1,000 years. And yeah, it's part of their heritage, part of their culture. And like you say, they've lived there for generations. It's not like they were put there by Stalin, they weren't moved about in that same way that people in Ukraine were moved about. The Cossacks were moved around. Um, no, this is a piece of land in which people who feel themselves ethnically Albanian, ethnically Armenian, who are Armenian Christian, and they're completely surrounded by Azerbaijan, which is nominally Muslim country, and yeah, they're feeling their heritage being
Mm.
stripped from them, and the reason why this is happening is because of Ukraine, effectively,
Yep.
because of the invasion of Ukraine. It's not
Yep.
Ukraine's fault. It's the invasion of Ukraine. It's a
Yep.
knock on from that. Russia
Azerbaijan
was
saw the opportunity and they took it.
Russia was
Every
the
time we covered
peacekeeper in
this,
the area.
Azerbaijan saw Russia was busy. They went in, and one of the things that I think bears worth mentioning that there were Russian peacekeepers there, and
Yeah.
Russian peacekeepers were killed. Now we've
Yes.
seen in the Red Sea the response just for the fact of the not Somali pirates, same part a little bit up, not Hezbollah. Oh, I'm completely blanking on the name now from Yemen.
From Yemen, the Houthis.
Houthis, that's it. So yeah, we've seen what happens when the Houthis have poked, not even fired directly at, but just gone near American warships, and you've actually had Russian soldiers being killed by Azerbaijan, and Russia has done nothing whatsoever throughout
Yes.
all of this, even falling out directly in front of Putin when there was a big CTS meetup of all these countries meant to be, we have the big NATO meetup every year. They have a very similar event. Azerbaijan and Armenia were angry at each other, falling out right in front of Putin, and Putin's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, calm down, love."
Yeah.
He's failed, he's failed to sort of really deal with this because he's busy in Ukraine, and Armenia has now gone, "We're out, we're leaving."
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, honestly, fair enough for what Armenia's gone through in the past, and I know it's not necessarily been on the side of righteousness in its battle with Azerbaijan, which has been going on for generations, but this particular version of it came about because of the fall of the USSR. Before then, it didn't really matter. You as a USSR citizen, you could move around the republics as much as you liked. It was one country technically, but now obviously it's not. And the mad thing is, though, there could have been a mutually beneficial solution to this, because there was a little enclave of Armenia in Azerbaijan called Nagorno-Karabakh, but also there's a little exclave of Azerbaijan that is split from the rest of Azerbaijan by Armenia, which they want a road going across. So if they'd negotiated a way of having a road going to Nagorno-Karabakh, which was sovereign to, a shared sovereignty, if you like, with Armenia, and then one that went through Armenian land, but it was shared sovereignty with Azerbaijan, there could have been a peaceful solution to this, which wouldn't have required hundreds of thousands of people moving out of their ancestral home. But it's too late now. The die is cast. And again, it is just one of the unforeseen consequences of Putin's megalomania and his tyranny. Can I just say hello to everyone in the chat quickly? I've also got a super chat that came in from Tim. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Tim's been very generous at the super chats these last few days. Thank you. Saying, Puninator, no idea. Talking about where the bowler hat man is. The bowler hat is, man. We've got Colin in the chat. We've got One Angry Pagans in there. We've got Sarah. Hi, Sarah. We've got Alf Smith. We've got Mike Higgins. We've got Alan Walker saying Bee Gees. We've got Alvone. We've got Samusu86. We've got Kerry Fry. We've got Emma Price. Hi, Emma. How you doing? Who I met last week when we were out leafleting in Richmond and Northallerton. And we were giving out these leaflets saying to put Rishi Sunak in the bin. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to put the Prime Minister, to steal the seat of a sitting Prime Minister. Where's he going to sit then? Nowhere. That's where.
And then let the Tory chaos begin.
And then let it begin. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful. And then apparently my cup has triggered people because it's blue. It's Democrat blue, guys. As soon as this election's over, we've got another election to obsess over. Colin Baker misquote a Jake Thackeray lyrics. I love a pedant. We're misquoting here all over the place. Michael says, "Oh my god, everyone who meets Way from Basel is in for shock when he spoke in proper non-broken sentences." Plot twist: Graham switches to the Tories. Now Labour wins. Lol. Sounds like something I would do. No, that's not going to happen. Not Tory blue. It's actually navy blue. Yeah, Russia famously protects others on Russian soil. ... says Yodi from Finland. Yeah, exactly. And Alan Walker says, it's party time, Party, because I gotta. And if you know what film that's from, you win a prize. Do you know what film that's from, Ollie?
The Mask.
It's from The Mask, yes. With Jim Carrey and
I was
Cameron Diaz
when that film came out.
It's a great film. I've got the graphic novel it was based on. Benjamin, the Daily Fail, claiming Taylor Swift isn't a good role model for kids because she's unmarried and childless at 34. Just shows how out of touch they are, especially when she's feeding people. Yeah, she gave all this money to like to food banks. How dare she? How dare she? She's a bad role model. She's a billionaire. She's a billionaire off her own talent and hard work. And just like mad skills when it comes to songwriting and performing. How dare she? You can't win, can you? It's like, well, Ollie, you might have made a billion.
Billionaire, Graham.
You made $1 billion through your own hard graft, but you should have had kids. Okay, but those things are probably like you can't do both. I don't think. I mean, maybe you can. I don't know. But no unrealistic standards or expectations to be being put on working women here at all by the Daily Fail. But it just shows how out of touch they are. Alex the Sixth, thank you very much. He's been a member for 11 months now. Blue, follow the money. ... The link to the party only shows a blank page. Sorry if someone mentioned this earlier. Ooh, okay. Well, I will sort that out. Oh God, do you know what? I've done it again. I keep writing stopthetories.com. Instead of stopthetories.vote, which is from this. If you refresh your page, we'll give you a moment. We'll sit here in stunned silence while you refresh this, and it should work. While we start talking about the Tokyo election, sparking a democratic debate.
Yep. So you may remember a couple of shows ago, we talked about one of, if not in Japan's history, the largest corruption scandal that its single party is going through. This has reached, as we said before, just to quickly give it over, this has reached pretty much almost every single level of people in these parties. Like, this has reached, imagine taking out not only the entire front bench of like the political party being involved with this, but you're talking the next almost like 2 or 3
tiers.
Like people after that. That's how deep this has gone in this party.
Wow.
And remember, this is the political party that has ruled Japan pretty much since the 50s, completely unchallenged.
Yeah.
That's how powerful and strong they have been as a political force in Japan. And this entire scandal has rocked them to the core.
Yeah.
And this is the first big sort of election since that scandal. So this is going to be one to watch to see who's going to win this. But one of the big things that's been talked about in this particular election is obviously demographic issues in Japan, because obviously the Japanese haven't been having a lot of children, and this is causing huge problems in Japan. We are having rural communities just disappear,
yeah,
because the birth rate just hasn't been there to replace those rural communities, and it is now starting to affect towns and even some cities.
Wow.
So the fact that they are now having this conversation, having this openly in Japan, where specifically the ruling party has been very, very much against having this conversation, because one of the ways you can solve this demographic crisis is by immigration, and the Japanese have traditionally been
I was going to say that.
They are very, very harsh when it comes to
I know
immigration.
people who have lived in Japan for many, many years, and they are never fully integrated. Just put it that way. Even if they marry someone who's Japanese, even if they have Japanese children, it's a very nativist country. It just is. And it's one of the reasons why their economy hasn't grown much since the 90s, because it hit that peak, and then basically they needed new blood. And that just wasn't forthcoming because people were having fewer and fewer children, probably because the cost of living was so high, which it is now. So what do you think is going to come of it? Do you think this is going to be?
I think it's going to start an actual conversation in Japan. I think that's the start of it. This is, from what I've read about this, is what it's going to start. I think an actual talk about this problem, how you solve this problem. But how you solve this problem is immigration. You've got to get more people in. You've got to have more people, having children. There's certainly a lot of societal and cultural issues in Japan that need sorting. Certainly the work culture in Japan is something that has improved over time. It has improved, but it's still nowhere near where I think it really should be. I think people will be really shocked if you ever read up about what are called in Japan black companies, where people have literally died at their desk from sheer exhaustion because they've been forced to work that much.
Wow.
There's some really strange, again, it's mostly down to cultural stuff, and it's going to take a long time to solve. I don't think any of their issues are going to be necessarily solved overnight when you start talking about this, or when they try to solve it, solutions. It's going to take a very long time to solve, but
because it's not just
a conversation that I need to have.
This isn't just a political thing. This is a cultural thing. There needs to be a cultural shift that opens Japanese culture up to other places in the world, because I think there is some deep-seated fear of the loss of Japaneseness in a lot of people who feel like if people come from all over the country, they're gonna lose that. It's gonna be a difficult thing, because you look at how immigration's being treated in the UK, in the US, in Hungary, and in France, which you're coming to in a moment. It's a political hot potato at the best of times. Tommy's saying Graham's betrayed us all by supporting the Tories. How could you do this to us all, Graham? Get a red mug and get back on the winning team. I'm very much still supporting Labour, believe me. Just at the moment, where's all my Labour stuff? I've got loads of stuff that Labour's given me with change written all over it. There you go. Should I hold this up for the rest of the show? Should I just put that in the corner? Should I just hold that up in front of my face? Labour, vote Labour, unless you're in a constituency where they don't stand a chance, and then tactically vote. We got some interesting conversation in the chat. Michael Warner says, whilst Graham is in stunned silence, let's all make the noise the moon makes. My 4-year-old is adamant that the moon makes a noise, but no one knows what the noise is. Well, it's interesting you should say that, because when people have been given cochlear implants later in life, they've been surprised by the noises that certain things make and the noises that other things don't make. And one of the big ones is the amount of noise like crisp packets make. That's been a bit of a shock to people who haven't been able to hear before. But the weird one is the sun. Apparently, a lot of deaf people assume that the sun makes a noise, but it doesn't. But it does, Ollie. It does make a noise. It's just that sound can't travel through space. In space, no one can hear you scream. But if sound could travel through space, it would be a scream. No, not a scream, but it'd be a sound, a rumble, louder than a jet engine. So there you go. Fun fact of the day for Michael Warner. And Alan says, can you comment on whether Japan's post-X gens are moving left? Would you say that the up-and-coming generations are moving leftwards?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. Because I don't know, I haven't seen any information about that, but it wouldn't surprise me. I know in Korea they've moved completely the other way.
Yeah.
The youth have moved completely to the right. I know that's the case in Korea, but I couldn't tell you what the situation is like in Japan.
Yeah.
Moment.
Sarah saying, I hate how ugly the world is becoming. I'm getting close to the point I don't want to be part of it anymore. Sarah, please stay with us, because although the people who run the world are shit, the people who live in the world, 99% of them are freaking awesome. They are kind, they are generous, they just want to help. The problem is in life is that you could have 100 people saying, have a nice day, and then you have one person telling you to fuck off. And that person who tells you to fuck off, they'll be the one that you'll be thinking about when you go to bed that night and thinking, why did that person tell me to fuck off? And you'll forget the people who were like really nice to you and really lovely. And I can't stress this enough. When I traveled around the world, I was taken under the wing of people everywhere in South America, in Colombia, in Venezuela, in Central Asia, in Uzbekistan, in Kyrgyzstan. People would invite me back home with them to feed me. People would just go out their way to be absolutely lovely to me and give me somewhere to stay and stuff like that. And all around Africa, people were, they might not have much in life, but they always wanted to share. You know, my faith in humanity is strong. My faith in politicians is very, very low. So it's up to us to keep those politicians as honest as we can keep them. And we need people like you with us for that fight, because it's the fight of our lives. Because we can't let them win. We cannot let them win, especially what's happening in America. But we're going to come to that later. Yes. Semprus Phi is in the chat. I think Semprus Phi is from America, and was saying earlier in the chat about the situation over there. Like, you know, people, especially people who are minorities, making sure they've got a passport if it comes to it. And we'll come on to that in a moment. I also want to say that Semprus Phi is a really cool username. I'm jealous that I didn't think of it.
Is that the Marine thing? Oh, no,
Semper Fi.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's the Marines. Semper Fi. It's their little logo. Slogan, I should say. Houses in Japan are cheap, especially in the north, says Richard Fraser. Let's go to Japan, mate. Let's go to the north of Japan. Let's take over a ghost village and just cut wood for the rest of our lives. That sounds great to me.
And property in Japan's weird because it's not the actual building itself that accrues value, it's the land.
Yeah.
So you can buy an incredibly cheap house, but it'll be completely dilapidated and you'll have to fix it up. And it might have only been up like 15 or 10 years, where you compare to like, if there's a house that's been up for like 10 or 15 years, it's worth like 200,000 plus, something like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's really weird how their whole land like thing is, and it's the land, not the building, that increases value, and the buildings go down in value the older they get.
Yeah. But did you watch the new version of Shogun? Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's excellent, isn't it? And do you know what's weird about it? Like, I mean, it's quite brutal. I mean, it is. It's got a lot of violence in it. But at the same time, like, Japanese culture just looks so much more refined than we know what was happening in the UK at the same time, where everyone was just shitting in buckets and throwing out the window.
I mean, this is one of the things. Just touch on that thing that you mentioned about, you know, the Japanese being worried about losing their culture. I know more people that are fascinated and would love to be a part of Japanese culture more than anything in the world. And I don't think the Japanese have anything to worry about letting foreigners in, because there's so many people that are obsessed with like Japanese culture in the West.
Yes,
that would love that.
I love it. I mean, yeah, from the films of Akira Kurosawa, but also manga, or through to all the video games, Pokemon, all that sort of stuff. I really enjoy it. I think it's fantastic. It's always mad and different. I love the Studio Ghibli films because they're such a rich tapestry, all of them. They're never a straightforward story. I'd much rather watch a Studio Ghibli film than a Walt Disney film. That's, you know, most of the time, except for Moana. Which is my favorite Disney. But yeah, I mean, there's the in Japan they have a definite, you know, a really strong culture, and I think maybe they could look at. This might sound a bit daft, but look at somewhere like Wales, where they've been subjugated by the English for over 1,000 years, and yet, and were banned from teaching their language. You know, you could go to jail for teaching children how to speak Welsh for many years. And they managed to survive. They managed to thrive. They managed to keep their cultural identity and keep their language.
Mm.
So yeah, and someone said I knew a Jewish ninja. He went out to learn in Japan. I was going to say about Jews as well. Jews have lived in other people's countries for centuries and managed to maintain their own culture and their own spiritual beliefs and their own language, Hebrew. I think the more you try and oppress a culture, the more it pushes back and says no. Which is the difficult thing about England is compare with Ireland, compare with Scotland, compare with Wales. What's English culture? Like, what is it? Morris dancing? Not being Scottish? Answers on a postcard. Is that maybe that's why the English had to take over the world?
I'll defend Morris dancing and me chasing down a wheel of cheese down a hill till the day I die.
Yeah. But it's like you go to Australia and there's a joke, isn't there? What's the difference between Australia and a yogurt? You leave a yogurt on its own for 200 years, it develops a culture. But like the things that the Australians, I feel, should embrace, like Aboriginal culture, the cave paintings, the dot paintings, the music, didgeridoos, their spiritual connection with the land, their legends, the rainbow serpent, all of that stuff. If you think of stuff that's Australian, chances are you're going to think of the flora and fauna, and if you think of anything human-made, it's going to be stuff to do with the Aboriginals. Whereas the Australians just don't see that as a bonus at all. They try and put it down. That you can spend days in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. You won't see a single Aboriginal. You won't see any. It's. I mean, a level of segregation that comes as a bit of a shock to people who just assume it's still going to be a bit like Crocodile Dundee, but it isn't. But if I was Australian, I'd be going, no, we should be trumpeting the didgeridoos and the and the Aboriginal culture from the rooftops, because that is Australian culture. Having a beer and a Barbie isn't uniquely Australian in any way, shape, or form.
Mm. Let me just go to the chat 1 second. When I grew pagan, I have seen your message. Don't worry. Get in contact with me. We'll have a chat definitely about badgers and ecology. Yeah, can't even say it. Put me teeth in. Ecological.
Badger.
Yeah, by gum. we'll
Badger.
Chat.
Badger likes his new blue Democrat cup. Badger. Anyway, no, I'm not going to the Tories.
Say Staff's comment here. Mention about the Ukrainian language. That's true as well. The Ukrainian language brutally repressed by like the Russians, but that was language that was very much kept alive, and something that, especially after this war, is certainly you've seen now people wanting to learn the Ukrainian language even more. Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, all almost exactly the same, all relearning their native language after years of Russian colonialism on that. So we will see that will only rise and I think continue, to be honest, because hey, like I say, culture can be changed sometimes instantly, and it is events that can sometimes change culture, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine has certainly changed Ukrainian culture. Changed Ukrainian culture.
Well, and the church as well. It's changed from the Church of Moscow essentially to the Church of Kiev. Yeah, I mean, don't try and put down people's cultures because they will fight back. They will fight back. So when immigration is done at scale, I mean, it has to be done in a way that makes the people coming to the country want to be part of the country, be able to integrate, want to integrate. And I think America, up till quite recently, has been a good example of that, where people who they'll keep their home culture, but they're always American. So they'll be German American, Polish American, Scottish American, or whatever.
And of course, pie can't beat a good pie.
Can't be a good pie. Yeah, indeed. Punninator, thank you very much for the super chat from ages ago. Hope everyone is ready for Thursday night results. We're going to party like it's Christmas in COVID restrictions. Woo! It's going to be absolutely epic. Sempress Fire saying, party like it's 7076. already told my dad I will be spending most of the 4th watching British YouTubers and news while eating burgers and drinking whiskey. That sounds like a good way of spending it. So we have bonfire night, Guy Fawkes night on November the 5th, and that's going to be the American election. So it seems that we have swapped our fireworks elections, our fireworks days. So we're having a celebration on July the 4th, and I don't know what's going to happen on.
Yep, the day where we
November the 5th
celebrate burning the Catholics.
Remember the 5th of November. We'll come on to that in a moment because I think that's going to be absolutely a mind F. Brad W, thank you very much for the super chat, sir. UK culture equals getting pissed in Magaluf. Yeah, that's kind of depressing, isn't it?
Well, we've had quite a heavy tradition of drinking. Ridiculous, but if you go back throughout history, you can even go back to the time of like Oliver Cromwell. That's why he banned Christmas, because of the trouble that will be caused on the day, because of the sheer amount of alcohol that was consumed. And it is, if you go back through history, I think somewhere there is. I don't know if they actually made a TV program about it, the history of alcohol, but I know there's a book called The History of Alcohol that I wanted to get for quite a while. But even in the UK, we've had a really, really old brewing tradition of alcohol, mostly by women, believe it or not. Women were the primary brewers at one point during the medieval time.
And that's why the medieval idea of a witch had a witch's brew, the big cauldron, because they were the ones who brewed the beer.
Yes, they're called brew wives.
Yes, brew wives. Yes, indeed. You must watch the same YouTube videos I do. Meanwhile, in the States, no. Svak says, I've not heard Ukrainian in Kyiv outside my own school until 2014. Svak is in Ukraine. That's when I switched to Ukrainian myself. Afterwards, more and more Ukrainian on the streets, and it does not compare to now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a good thing, but at such a price of what Russia has done to Ukraine, which is, it's horrifying on a daily, every day there's new horrors that the Russians have done. There was a Ukrainian woman talking on the radio this morning, and she was talking about the children who have been kidnapped. Thousands and thousands of children who have been kidnapped and now being brought up in Russian homes with Russian parents. Some of them too young maybe to know what was going on. I don't know, but that sort of thing is ethnic cleansing. It is totally ethnic cleansing, and it's beyond disgraceful. And that's one of the reasons why. Well, I think that's the big reason why Vladimir Putin is now a wanted war criminal, is particularly about the kidnapping of children. And that's not to say those children are not being abused as well.
Yeah, like I say, we don't even know. Yeah. That's one of the worst things, because Russia will not let observers or anything like that.
So even if Russia lose the war, some of those children are going back to their parents. Yeah. Thanks to Putin, the monster, the absolute monster. Like anyone who supports Trump, not Trump as well, but like Putin, who is the puppet master of Trump. I just, their morality is so skewed, and I'm not religious, but I wish there was a heaven and hell, just so they would burn in hell. I can't believe that anyone who regards themselves as religious follows Trump or Putin. It blows my mind. Talk about one angry pagan, talk about Tolkien, and my Blue Badger 88 saying Tolkien brought back the Skald tradition of storytelling. Tolkien. Yep. Basically, there you go. There's English culture. There's English mythology. It was all made up by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, a South African. He was born in Bloemfontein in South Africa.
Speaking of it, this is an interesting segue. How much of our culture is actually French culture, and the French don't want to admit it?
Yes. What, the terrible food? I'm not surprised they don't want to admit that,
because you've got to remember we've actually had England has a very, very long tradition of immigration to the country. Yeah. Even before the Normans, there was a lot of immigration before that, and even after, there was continuing immigration from the continent. Most of these groups actually came from France, bringing over a lot of French traditions.
Yeah.
So, if you've ever read, by the way, a fantastic book, if you want to really learn how to annoy French people, it's called 1,000 Years of Annoying the French. It's very, very good, very, very good history book. goes right from the early days right through to modern history, how we have annoyed the French for over 1,000 years and are still doing it today. And by the way, if you are French, you also find the book in France called 1,000 Years of Annoying the English.
Oh, right. Okay. I was going to apologize to the French. In your history of alcohol, does it point out that the ancient Egyptians invented alcohol, well, fermentation, before they invented the wheel?
Doesn't surprise me.
Fun fact, it was like, right, we've got beer, we've sorted that, we're drunk. How do we get home? We have to invent taxis, so we need a wheel. Michael says, fun fact, Tolkien refused to let his work be translated to German for years and years after the wars. There's a very interesting letter that Tolkien wrote in the 1930s to the German authorities, rejecting. So I think they wanted to make amendments to The Hobbit to take out some references that they felt was in some way referencing the Semitic people or something daft like that. And Tolkien sent them a letter telling them to piss off. Oh, no, actually, I think it was his publisher. I think his publisher was Jewish, and they were like, well, we're not going to work with them. No. I think that's probably why it wasn't translated into German, rather than some kind of like German phobia. I think he was pissed off with the way the Nazis behaved. But there you go. And X Hemil says, fun fact, I'm F43NC. I don't know what that means, but good for you. Okay, shall we move on a little bit? We've got 20 minutes left. We're going to talk about France.
Talking about the French.
Yeah, talking of the French. They had elections. They had the first half of their parliamentary elections this week. They had the second half in like another week's time, sorry. Instead of having an alternative vote system where you just put down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they have another vote after they've knocked out the lower placed contenders in the first round. So only 2 or 3 candidates will be in each constituency now. A big triumph for the hard right, but they only got 33% of the vote, so not that big a triumph. And if Macron's coalition called Together and the Popular People's Front of Judea, or whatever the left-wing leaning group is called, the grouping the
I love
Alliance.
how they've called themselves the New Popular Front.
The New Popular Front.
The New Popular Front.
And then they shout over to the Popular Front, quitters, splitters. They look like they're doing some deals at the moment. There's a lot of horse trading and possibly some horseplay going on. What's your feeling about this, Ollie? Do you think this is the rise of the inevitable rise of the far right in France, or do you think like Phil Morehouse, he reckons it's like you pull back you're pulling back an elastic band and it can only go so far and then it'll just twang back to the center?
I think like every right-wing populist that we've seen throughout the past couple of years, they have all been playing on whatever current problems that are plaguing the country. And of course, using immigration to be the scapegoat of all these problems. And this is what I think you see, Marie Le Pen, you see the ADF do this in Germany as well. And they are just scapegoating. The problems of France aren't caused by French people. They're caused by, all these foreigners coming over here to take our jobs. Sounds awfully familiar lines from, one Nigel Farage. When you look at a lot of the stuff of Marie Le Pen, you could literally just take a Marie Le Pen speech, get an AI, and just get Nigel Farage the voice to say it, and honestly, people won't be able to tell the difference. I really do think this is just a rise of populism, and I think Starmer actually had the perfect response to this. If people didn't see it, he said that the best way to solve this is to show that progressives are the ones that have the answers to the problems that are not only facing this country, but Europe as well.
Yes.
And the big issue is, as you said there, there's horse trading going on. Are these two groups going to get out of each other's way and work together? Because this is how they were defeated in Poland recently with Donald Tusk. Donald Tusk got a coalition together and was able to kick out the populists that had been running Poland for the past couple of years. Yeah. Just as we will probably see if Marie Le Pen actually ever does get in, there will be a honeymoon period. And then, of course, you can only blame or scapegoat people so much before people actually going, well, hold on. Actually, are you the problem? You know,
Yeah.
not all these immigrants. But the big problem then becomes is how much damage these groups and parties then do. Part of Donald Tusk's uh, thing that he's trying to do at the moment is undo a lot of the stuff that they've been doing,
Yeah.
and in some cases using the exact same powers that the populists in Poland have also been using to pursue some of their agenda. So, it's not necessarily a good thing, of course, Donald Tusk using the exact same strategies that they were doing to sort of prosecute their agenda, but he's going after them for doing that. You're seeing, I think it is Slovakia. I hope I've got it right. Slovakia, not Slovenia. Well, they've just elected.
We just beat them at the football, mate.
Yeah, I can't remember which country. I'm getting them confused, like most people do.
It's their own fault for having such similar flags. They literally have the same flag, except one's got a little double cross on it, and the other one's got a mountain on the logo.
People fly to Slovakia and then book a whole hotel in Slovenia and go, oh no.
Yeah. Apparently, the embassies in any given country have to meet up now and again to swap their post. I think you're right. I remember, like, this is so long ago. It was this morning. Bridget Phillipson was on the radio. I think it might have been this afternoon, actually. And I tuned in halfway through. I didn't know who was talking before it was actually said. But she was talking about ideas and policies and things they want to do on day one and things they want to change and positive steps. And I thought, this isn't a Tory. As soon as I tuned in, I knew it wasn't a Tory because they were talking about things to make people's lives better. And I knew that if it was a Tory, they'll just be saying, Labour are going to do this. Labour are going to bring in taxes. They're going to eat your firstborn. They're going to sacrifice them to the sun. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to...
And how dare Keir Starmer prioritise spending time with his family? How dare he?
For Friday night dinner with his Jewish wife and their children. I mean, yeah. Even have you seen the stuff that's come out today as well over other Tory leaders saying they have David Cameron had date night once a week with his wife, even though he's prime minister, and Theresa May, she went to church, I think, once a week. Yeah. Oh my god! I got to tell the cold.
Brad W
with
the
fun on
super
Thursday.
chat, because this actually goes into something else that I want to bring up as well.
Yes. Okay. Can I give him the super chat animation? Okay. Thank you very much to Brad W. The AfD is the most popular in the former East Germany areas. It shows the USSR made no real effort to de-radicalize Nazi ideology. Good point. Comment further, Ollie.
This goes into something that I've often said. You look at our government when they went levelling up, they did not take any of that seriously. It was all nice slogans, and I'm sure Brad W will disagree with me, as many of my German viewers when they bring this up. Germany actually has seriously tried to level up East Germany for years. Now, I'm pretty sure all the Germans in chat will disagree, but your government actually takes it seriously.
That's why the exchange rate mechanism mucked up.
You know?
Do you remember the exchange? You're too young, but the exchange rate mechanism debacle of 1992, that was to do with the reunification of Germany and the fact that the Deutschmark went all over the shop because they were investing so much money in bringing Eastern Germany up to scratch. Anyway, go on.
But yeah, it just goes to show you, that the German government is actually seriously trying to level up a big part of their country versus what we've had.
Yeah,
there is a massive difference. So even if sometimes if you're German, you disagree with the stuff that has been spent trying to level up and improve your country, just look at what our government does and look at how your government actually takes it seriously.
Yeah,
compared to ours. It just doesn't even bear like comparing the two. You've got a German government that's actually bothered to give a damn about leveling up, and it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money and a constant years of investment to do it.
Yeah,
it's not here's a bit of money and 4 new park benches. Or in Leeds, here's a new entrance, or sorry, exit to your train station. Congratulations, guys. That's leveling up. That's the Northern Powerhouse at work. It takes more than that.
Yeah, but there's
And
been some
serious
incredible,
sustained investment as
incredible
well.
things built in the last 30 years, or rebuilt. Like the Dresden Cathedral was rebuilt. You go to Eastern Berlin now, and there's like a Prussian palace there that wasn't there before. It was only built in the last few years because they were restoring these old monuments and building. I had friends from East Germany who grew up under the Stasi, who grew up under they grew up in East Berlin, and when I asked them about this situation with the older people, they said, well, the thing was, when we were growing up, everything was very ordered and everyone knew where you stood with everything. You didn't have a choice. And then suddenly everyone's sort of left to their own devices, given all this choice, and they don't really know what to do with it. And choice can be a bit scary, as anyone who's tried to find a video on a film to watch on Netflix can testify. At least when you went to Blockbuster, half the videos have been taken out, so it kind of reduced your viewing choices down somewhat. But yeah, it was interesting talking about the psychological effects of the USSR when it ruled over Germany via its puppet rulers. Because yeah, some people, they look back on that time as a time of great fondness because people knew where they stood. Yeah, in constant fear and hunger. But at least you knew where you stood.
Yeah. Helen Wilkes in the chat brings up a very good point. Yeah, someone does need to start using that exit because it's been built for a number of years now and barely anyone uses it.
What's that?
Because no one knows it's there.
What's this?
The exit in Leeds train station. Partly because so Leeds train station is very a traditional Victorian train station with big arch over it.
I thought they knocked that down and it's all horrible inside now.
It is, but they kept the same sort of Victorian layout because why not?
So made it a bit nicer. But
the reason why no one uses it is because the main entrance and exit goes out into the city, while the other exit they built goes pretty much to the canal and nowhere, where most people don't go. So
random. I didn't even know there was a secret exit.
Oh yes, like I say, you go up. If you go up from platform 17, it's again train from Barnsley. You go up there, and as soon as you're on the top floor, it's right at the far side, as if you come up there, and it's there. You can see the entrance exit. They've got the tickets and everything. Use it and find out where you might go, and you'll be like, oh, why am I being taken out here? This isn't where I want to go. I want to go. I
normally come up from the platform. I'm trying to visualize it. I normally come up from the platform and turn right to get out. So you're saying turn left? Yep. Oh, you're right. No, there's barriers there. Yeah, because do you know what? I was there last week and I actually asked the guy at the barriers if I could use my train ticket on the next train because my train was cancelled, which we won't go into at the moment. But yeah, it's always a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, okay,
yeah, that's the Northern Powerhouse. That's what Leeds got from Osborne and Cameron.
Oh Jesus Christ, that exit. Okay, well listen, Ollie, we've got 9 minutes left before we're gonna have to chunt everyone over to Maximilian Robespierre's chat. Now I've kind of already done a couple of videos on this already. I spoke to Brenna yesterday from the Bin podcast because she's in America, about what's happened with the Supreme Court, and I also spoke about it this morning on Morning Brew. Mate, America has just declared that Donald Trump is the first king of America, and that anything that he fancies doing in his weird, horrible, geriatric, fat Joffrey kind of way is anything that any sadistic act that he finds pleasurable is perfectly within the law. I mean, where do we go from here? Are you part of the camp that think we should stick with Biden after that terrible debate?
If I am pretty much of the opinion that if they are going to change Biden, it is going to happen this week. If
they have to do it sooner rather than later.
This week, forget it. They're sticking with Biden. The problem is here.
This is so irresponsible.
This is exemplified. It's that the problem is in the Democratic Party. They do not have a goddamn spine. They should be screaming from the rooftops about how politicized the Supreme Court has become. Because at the moment it's 3-6. They should be saying to the American people, chances are, with numbers, if you use the fancy numbers, those 3 liberal judges that are left on there, they have the highest chance of going next.
Yes.
One of the big things that the Republicans do, and particularly throughout history, the Supreme Court Republican judges have done, is whenever there is a Republican and they get close to retirement, they do not stick around. Ruth Gator Ginsburg should have retired under Obama when she started having those health issues.
Yes.
She did not. She was stuck around, and she was told by, Democrats, stick around, keep your seat.
Why?
And they let her continue.
I've got this quote in my head from the newsroom where he says, "You're a liberal. I've got a question for you. If your liberals are so smart, why do they lose all the effing time?" That's the quote. I've probably not got the exact words, but that's the gist of it. If you're so smart, how come you always lose?
They need to grow a goddamn spine. They need to start taking it to the Republicans.
They need to have fire put up them by people like people who live in America, need to be screaming at their elected representatives, do something, you useless sack of shit, because when the shit goes down, it's going to be your head on a platter, not mine. As a voter, especially as a white, middle-aged, middle-class voter, I'll probably be fine. But everybody else, he is just going to kill with absolute immunity for prosecution for anyone he slaughters. And he will do that. We know he has a blithe disregard for the sanctity of human life. Yeah. And it's up to the Democrats to do something now, and they're not doing anything.
They've got so many wins, though. They've got so many wins. Biden has not been a bad president. Biden's been pretty good as a president, and they need to start talking about how good he is. Now, the campaign has not yet kicked off. That debate was actually, I think, in American history of presidential debates, one of the lowest watched debates in history.
Yeah, but it's clipped up and shown to everyone. Oh, come on, Ollie.
Yeah, Americans currently are not paying attention to politics. They are not. And if this had happened a lot later, I think this would have a lot bigger impact. It's going to have an impact, but it's
going to happen again. They're going to have another debate, and he's going to be just as freaking useless. What, they're going to reboot him?
I am confident in September.
Run some malware cleaner.
I am very confident in September he will pull it off, but he's going to have to pull it off.
You have a lot of faith in one squishy human being, mate.
But yeah. I do have a lot of faith because
I don't. The Democrats I've got no faith whatsoever.
They've got Biden, who's had a very good term for president. They need to really start making hay off the whole abortion stuff. That will win them a lot of votes at the upcoming election. And they should, after this, be running against the Supreme Court. They need to start saying, okay, the Supreme Court has become too partisan. If you let Trump win, it could become too set.
I
Imagine
disagree.
how bad and rulings that could come down worse. If you are
I disagree.
The Republicans, and if you got someone like, imagine if somehow you got Bernie Sanders in, Bernie Sanders would not be able to do a thing because all his ideas and policy proposals would be struck down by this incredibly Republican-controlled.
Plus, he's older than Biden.
Might be 2-7.
Yeah.
Potentially by the time maybe Bernie Sanders got elected, who knows?
Couple of things.
They need to run against it, and they need to either stack the Supreme Court or they need to reform it and change it so it can't end up like this again.
First of all, I just want to say to Duke Vengeance that it's hilarious that Duke Vengeance is telling me to calm down. Also, I've got a few super chats to go through. Helen, thank you very much. Nothing in Leeds can be horrible. It's in Leeds. Oh, that's nice. Emma Price. £20 super chat. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I am worried, however. I follow the USA a lot. There are things that can be done. I will prefer someone other than Biden, but the polls show everyone else loses to Trump. Only Biden can win, which is pathetic. I remain positive. And then Sempress Fi, who's actually in the States and has given a $5 super chat there. Thank you very much for my Lincoln. Too late to get on ballot in most states. SCOTUS armed multiple bombs, but it seems to be motivating pro-democracy stroke Dem base, and debates never sway voters, says Sempress Fi. Right. In lieu of getting rid of Biden, which is what I would do if I was in charge of the Democrat Party right now. Because you can't rely on Trump to ruin his own chances of becoming president. There is nothing that man can do now that is going to put his base off. They think he's God, and they treat him like God. They want him to be his dictator, their dictator. They want him to come and murder their children in front of them so they can have a barbecue with him or something, or they can touch the hem of his dress. I don't know. I just think it's pathetic, the fawning that is going on over Donald Trump in the States at the moment, not just from the MAGA Republican lot, the lunatics, but from the Republican Party itself, which is just debasing itself on a daily basis now. But I think so are the Democrats. They should arrest those 6 Supreme Court justices. Arrest them.
I don't think they'd be able to get away with that.
Why?
They can probably.
The president is above the law now, so he can make an executive order arresting Trump and the Scrotus 6, right? Arrest them. Alito has done stuff that he can be arrested for. Corruption beyond imagining. There's who's the guy who got the bloody Winnebago? Who's obsessed with the Winnebago and he gets all the holidays off his mate Harlan Crow, buys him loads of boss holidays. Quick, someone tell me in the chat. What's his name? Supreme Court Justice. Anyway, he should be arrested and thrown in jail for his crimes, of which there's evidence and there's many of them. But the thing is, you don't have to put them on trial. You just lock them up, take them to a secure location in the middle of the Nevada desert or wherever.
It's traitors. Part of the presidential job.
Yes, you have to defend America against enemies, both foreign and domestic. Declare them domestic enemies as an executive order. Arrest the fuckers. That's it. Game over. Okay, you want to give me, as the president, as Joe Biden, you want to give me absolute immunity from prosecution for anything I do. Okay, here's my first order. Or you fuckers off to jail. See you later. I'm going to hold you there without trial for the next year. I'm going to put in 6 liberal justices, and I'm going to pick them myself. I'm not even going to put it through Congress. Forget it. You make shit decisions. That's it. I've been corrected with my Latin there by Saliva the Cat. It should be Scrotum 6 rather than Scrotus 6. The same. Clarence Thomas, that's him. Clarence Thomas and his wife, who's a massive Trump fanatic, who was involved in the January 6th insurrection in which 5 people ended up dying, including 2 police officers. Yeah. We've got enough dirt on these pieces of shit. You know the
fake electors thing,
Kavanaugh.
the fake electors scandal, and the Georgia stuff as well. That's more than enough.
Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh. He raped a woman in when he was in high school. When he was in college, he raped a woman, and this came out when they were, he was having his hearings, and they were like, oh well, who hasn't? I'm like, what? So put him in jail for that. There's plenty of stuff we can put these people in jail for. In fact, just make something up. Just put them in jail. Democrats, people in America, please listen to me. I know that I sound like a lunatic here, but I am actually being the voice of reason. Just arrest them. You got the power to do it. You got justification to do it. Trump and the Scrotus 6 have done crimes against America. Irreparable damage to the fabric of the American state. So, put them in jail. There you go. Put them in for a year, awaiting hearing. Make sure they have no contact with the outside world whatsoever. Put them in a box. Put them in a nice little box in Guantanamo Bay. Paul says, I like beer. There you go. On that bombshell. Right. Do you have anything to add to that? Sorry, I'll get off my horse.
No, it's like I say, it's the Democrats' fault. They need to grow a spine and they need to start really acting like this. Remember what happened when it was at the end of Obama's term and there was a Supreme Court justice died, and the Democrats did absolutely nothing to replace this judge because the Republicans were going, you can't replace them. It's too close to the election. You can't do this. And they stopped Obama from appointing a replacement.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple more years, and what happens? A Supreme Court justice dies, and the Republicans replace a Supreme Court justice.
Yep.
And the Democrats saying, "Oh, but you can't do that because
God, it's embarrassing. What are they, sweet summer children?
It's too
Why
close to
are
the
they
election.
so politically naive? Like, how stupid do you have to be? Like, just get a grip, Democrats. Because if America goes down the tubes, right, because Trump gets in, and that causes the world and humanity to go down the tubes, I'm not going to blame Trump. He is what he is. He makes no bones about it. He is a scumbag. He's a dictator from day one. He is a brutal murderer of police officers who's gotten away with it like some Kyle Rittenhouse on high. And the Democrats, however, they have an opportunity right now to do something about it, and they're doing bugger all. Do you know what Biden did? He put out a tweet. He put out an angry tweet. There you go. Job's a good one.
Unfortunately, civility politics. It's exemplified when Hillary Clinton said, "When they go low, we go high." Well, sometimes
Hillary lost the election.
Sometimes Biden, you've got to go low. You've got to sometimes, get in the underbelly and aim for their juicy gibbles.
I think that
and strike them there, because you've got to do it sometime.
I think they're working for the same malevolent forces as the Republicans are. Someone's funding them, and I don't think it's good people, because apart from Taylor Swift, there are no good billionaires.
They're just more obsessed with, look, we can work with the Republicans, we can work together, and they've been singing that same tune all the way since Obama, and yet the Republicans have just not worked with them all the time. And it's just like, when are they going to learn? When are they going to learn a lesson?
It's incredibly frustrating. Anyway,
they still haven't.
We're going to have to wrap it up there. Next time I see you, Ollie, maybe on Friday for the Politics Social, if you're about, if I'm still awake, it'll be under a Labour government. Fingers crossed, touch wood, double fingers crossed, cross everything the multiple times. Yes, it's going to be epic. So please join us on Thursday night, 9:00 onwards. What are you doing are you doing a live stream, or are you
I will be doing a live stream on there. So by the way, breaking news, the sentencing of the hush money trial has now been delayed until September.
Yes.
I've just seen that.
Yeah, because they have to take into account. They have to take into account.
No, I will be doing a live stream that night.
I hope he gets a year in jail. That's it. He's not around for the bloody inauguration. Have me on sometime and I'll tell you how to beat them, says Semprus Phi. You're on. That's the deal, Semprus. Get in touch with me, GrahamDavidHughes.com. Go to the website and there's a contact box at the bottom.
Another GEOSCOPE guest.
Drop me up. Yes. No, we've got a new show now called Stateside. So I'll get Semprus Phi on Stateside, because I like talking to Americans. It's where we bridge the transatlantic gap together and say what needs to be done.
A new Atlantic bridge.
A new Atlantic bridge, yeah, bridge over the Atlantic, because that makes sense. Right, so thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow morning with Morning Brew at 9:30, and a big, huge thank you to Ollie down for me in Yorkshire. You dirty southerner, for coming on the show and dispensing his knowledge and wisdom about what's happening around the world. And like I say, if you can join us on Thursday night, Ollie's going to be doing a live stream. I think Femi's doing a live stream. I'm going to be doing a live stream. So if you want to flick between us, maybe we'll appear on each other's live streams. I don't know. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting. If you want to meet us in person, come to the party. We're going to be down in London. We'll get you there for free if you're nearby. We'll get you a couple of drinks. Just get in touch with me, GrahamDavidHughes.com. I've still got a couple of tickets left that I haven't given out yet, so you can have them for free. So just get in touch. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats and the chat. Give us a like on the way out. And until next time, I'll say, you're going to be dumped over to Maximilian's stream after this. So if you stay on, say hello to Max from Politics Social, or Graham and Ollie say hi. All right, so we'll see you there. And until then, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Yay.